Hello and welcome back to the channel. This video will be a how-to of how to swap, replace damaged handles on the Creuset frying pans and saucepans. Whether that's you just changing for a newer one or whether it's damaged, something snapped, this is a process. So on the hook eye at the end, if you want to, sometimes you can just do it with your hands, but you want to get a screwdriver if not. Just put it in the hook eye, obviously turn lefty-loosey, righty-tighty, take it out, and on the frying pans you'll have this long bar with the hook on the end, and then it's threaded the other. Then inside is that small bar that goes across. That is where it hooks on, and then when you tighten it back up, it sort of pulls itself together, giving you the solid handle. So if this is snapped, you can get a new rod, or if the handle's burnt away or it's broken for whatever reason, you'd replace, and that little notch there always goes on the bottom. So you slide it back. You do have to do a little bit of a jiggle work here just to get the thread to come back out the end, and obviously don't push too hard with the hook eye, otherwise you'll then push it back in. So sometimes you have to hold it upright while you're doing it, but then you thread the hook eye back on. Go up finger tight, just being real gentle not to push it in. You can feel when it does because it'll hold itself. But finger tight, get it all the way there, and then with a screwdriver just finish it off. You don't have to go excessive, just enough you can then pick it up and you'll feel whether it twists in your arm or whether it feels slightly loose. You can do a little bit more tightening, but you don't need to go over the top, you'll end up breaking it again. So on a saucepan, depending on the saucepan, this is one of the vintage ones with a spout, so this is one of the early ones. Similar story, so screwdriver again, in the hook eye. Always test first, you might be able to do it with your hand without having to use a screwdriver. Unscrew again, and this is similar but it's not quite the same. If you're ever unscrewing with a screwdriver it's really hard, chances are it's going to break. But the wooden handles slide off, so it'll either say teak or Le Creuset, and that always points to the top. Then on the bottom of the handle there's always a little bit of burnt marks. But these ones are a bar that are already threaded into the actual saucepan. Sometimes when you undo them, the whole bar will come out with the hook eye, and sometimes the hook eye will come off the threaded bar. As long as it's in one piece, you're fine. So the name again, teak or Le Creuset, depending on what age they are, on top so it's facing you. That's how you know it sits correctly. And then just the hook eye back on again, all the way finger tight, and then you'll just finish it off with the screwdriver, and then hold the pan in your hand. You can twist it side to side or whatever like that, and you can tell if it doesn't move, that's more than enough. So that's like the first generation of saucepan, if you like. This is the second generation. These are with plastic handles. Special ones obviously go to a high heat, not just normal plastic. But again, hook eye. These are slightly different again. These are like a cross between the last two pans that I've just shown you. So, and they're also, I think the Creuset changed this quite quickly. It's not the best, not like the other the two ways of doing things. It's a little bit, they don't seem as strong. And moving over to the plastic handle, I don't think was the best idea. You can still get this generation of saucepan with a wooden handle, and they actually look a lot nicer. But yeah, stay clear of the black ones. That's my personal opinion. But once the hook eye is off, the handle slides out again. It's just on another bar, so that's the same process. Slides out, and then these tend to warp or crack a bit easier. But these are like a little hook, but the hook isn't overly big, so that's why they slip and break sometimes. So you just want to hook it back in when you're replacing, whether you're replacing the bar or the handle, because the end where the silver, where it meets the saucepan, they break a little bit, whether that's from overheat or you bang them together. I'm not sure. But again, real gentle with a hook eye. You don't want to push the thread back in because you'd be constantly chasing it. You can put a little blade or something on the thread to like hold it so it doesn't slip while you tighten it. That works. Then just take it out of the way. But again, finger tight again. And these ones, you don't want to go too tight with these because it's a metal end rather than a wooden. they tend to skip around a bit easier, and then you end up having a handle that's tight, but somehow it still spins. You don't want to get it to that point. So finger tight again, and that is more than enough to do the job. And then the last thing to show, real simple, is just the knobs on the saucepan and casserole lids. So flat-headed, if it's a Phillips bit or a cross, it's not a genuine screw. The knob may be genuine, but the screw won't be. Always a flathead. You can either hold it with your finger or just the knob, it depends how tight it is. Obviously undo, take it off. Whether you're replacing it because you've broke the knob, it's worn, like on this, what I'll show you now, people like to swap over to the bigger ones or the metal ones, just the new look. So obviously basic stuff. Screw back through the bottom, screw the lid on. You can do this hand tight as well, it won't spin. You can do a little bit of tightening if you wish. And that's it. Thanks for watching.